Welcome to a Footy Friday. Paul Chapman joined by JJ Adams. JJ, this is weird. This is the first one that we've done of these. Um, I see this is weird, not just working from home, but I've managed to do them with Ben Kuzma and Ed Willis before I did them one with you. So the fact that those two guys can figure out how to do this from home means literally anyone can do it.
Yeah, I am curious myself. What kind of porn do you have on your wall at home that you have to blur it out? Like, is all I see is blur it out. I don't know what's there. Don't tell us. Don't tell us.
Renoir National Gallery.
Mm.
This is, I know it's a throwback to your youth where you used to try and watch the pay-per-view when it was all scrambled and
Oh
figure out
yeah,
what's going on.
heck yeah, I
Yeah, yeah.
did.
So
I
you got the skills, you can decipher this. I never did get the magic eye thing anyway. Can never do one of those. JJ, let's start off because this is a Footy Friday. We're going to go a little bit all over the place. Obviously, this virus is just such a massive story around the globe, and soccer being such a global game, I think obviously we saw this hit in Europe first. We saw the Euros was the first major event to get postponed. There's all sorts of stuff going on in the European leagues now. It appears as though Spain and France or Spain and Italy were both a little cavalier in terms of shutting things down, and that, as they're looking back now, has really helped spread the virus. With it being such a global game, what's the kind of the feedback that you've got from the people within the Whitecaps who come from all over in terms of the impact of this?
Well, like you said, it's universal. Everybody is impacted. Everyone knows somebody who's impacted. They're watching the same news feeds that we do. A lot of these guys, like for example, Vanni Sartini, the Whitecaps assistant coach, he's Italian. He's got family in Italy, so he's directly impacted by this, and he's watching it unfold from afar. And like you said, France, Italy might have been a little cavalier in how they handled it, but sort of thankfully, they gave us an example of what could go wrong. So I think here, especially in Canada, let alone what's going on south of the border, we won't talk about that. But here in Canada, I think we've managed to get ahead of the curve because we had that canary in a coal mine, so to speak.
It is funny you're seeing, like, I look at MLS, and if any, I guess both MLS and baseball were positioned to sort of ride this out because they were just starting their season. You see the NBA and the NHL basically now looking at things. I read something, they were looking at arena dates in August because this has gone from being 2 weeks at home to 3 weeks to 4 weeks to first week of May to really now I think people are talking months before you could start to even dream of putting large groups of people back together. But I see now that even people are speculating that the NFL season, which gave us all this like legit news that Tom Brady was signing with the Patriots, they haven't even held their draft yet. But now there's doubt that the NFL will even hold a season this year. What have the Whitecaps said to you in terms of contingency plans?
Jeez, Tom Brady. I wouldn't have to watch Tom Brady play football again. What a shame. I would just be
Don't be
ashamed.
bitter just because he didn't sign with your Vegas Raiders.
Oh, I am so glad he did not sign with the Raiders. Let me tell you, I'm happy about that. That would have just I don't know what I would have done. I couldn't stop being Raiders fan, but I couldn't watch. I'd have to be on like a complete blackout. Anyways, so Whitecaps. In terms of MLS, like MLS is a little uniquely positioned in North American sports because it is centrally owned. The ownership structure is a central. The league owns the teams, and the teams are essentially investors and operators of the team. But what that does, it allows them to spread out the impact, the financial impact of this across all the teams. So it kind of gives them a little bit more stability because the longer this goes, you're going to be seeing, NBA, NHL, NFL franchises using hundreds of millions of dollars. The smaller leagues are going to be far more impacted by that, like MLS. But because of the way their ownership structure is, I think they will be a little more able to weather the storm. Now, in terms of when they get back to playing, they keep saying that they're going to play a full schedule. That's all they can say right now because everything is so uncertain. There's no answers for anything. So they can't say no. We're going to resume play on August 1st. They can't do that because they just don't know.
Yeah.
But right now they're saying they're going to play a full season. They are remaining to take season ticket monthly payments from people because the games right now are just being rescheduled. I imagine once games start being canceled, because I think it's inevitable, they will start
Absolutely.
issuing refunds to people. But right now, they're just keep changing their plans. Best case scenario, they keep looking at, they're going to play a full season, but there's going to reach a point, which they haven't said yet when that point is, that drop dead point where they're going to start having to cancel games.
It would have to be pretty quick, wouldn't you think? I mean, the season is so long anyway. It's, typically goes into October. And I mean, they've already lost what, 3 weeks or 2.5, and we're already looking at least another month before they can get going. I just don't know how you could dream about playing a full season when you've lost 5 to 6 weeks of your season off the top.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you've got the Canadian Championship games, you got the U.S. Open Cup, Champions League on top of that. If they're playing, like Saturday, Wednesday every week, I don't think it's feasible. I actually reached out to the MLS Players Union to see what their thoughts were on what was feasible. Waiting to hear back because, like everyone, they're on lockdown. But yeah, I mean, there's going to be a point where it just doesn't make sense for them to go out and play. Now, whether they play in front of empty arenas, that's another question. I know in China, they're talking about restarting the season, and they're getting some major blowback from players who will, be putting their families at risk if they play these games because they will be exposing themselves to a group setting. There's no way you can play a game of soccer or football without physical contact with somebody else. It's just not really possible. So, what these games look like when they come back, empty stadiums or not, I think we're probably looking at, this season not actually being played.
I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask you anyway. I did one of these videos with Ben Kuzma yesterday, and he said Travis Green had gone to California to be with his family because that's where his son's playing hockey. Correct. Most of the Whitecaps have stayed, or all of the Whitecaps have stayed in town, have they not?
Yes, the MLS has actually asked all the teams and players and staff to stay in place and not travel home. And I think I don't think that's a problem for a lot of them because when you consider, the countries they could go back to, I think Canada's healthcare system and the situation we're in right now is a far more positive one than the one they would be going back to.
I get you on that, but I mean, most of these guys are separated from families, aren't they?
Some guys are single. For example, Christian Dahome came up here with his family, so his family is
Okay.
here with him. Andy Rose, his family's here with him. Freddie Montero, of course, his wife is from the Northwest. His family is here. So there's a lot of guys who have families that are here with them. They brought them. They're living in Vancouver, so it makes it a little easier for them to get through this. Now there are also guys. I think of Leo Owusu or Daniel
Jingles.
Bell. Jingles, yes, who just joined the team. They didn't bring their families. They don't really know their teammates yet, and now they're in isolation. I mean, that's got to be a tough way to get acclimatized to a new city, a new country, a new team, new everything. And they're sitting in lockdown in their apartments right now.
And the weather might have been helpful the last 2 weeks, but now it's welcome to Vancouver. The next 10 days are going to rain. So creating a little bit of havoc in my house with 4 people under basically house arrest, 2 cats, and a new puppy. So I know we all have our crosses to bear. It's a little bit difficult.
I would trade that for the 2 typhoon buffoon toddlers I have, 3 and 5. Give me the cat. Give me the teenage daughters. I'll take it. I'll take it.
Look, you've been an assistant sports editor. You should be used to dealing with buffoons, he says, as a cat wanders through the studio. JJ, I just want you to finish up here. You have another story coming. I know this is Footy Friday, but it's a great story. We haven't done enough on the Fraser Valley Bandits Startup Basketball League. You got a great story coming that we'll be publishing on Sunday in the Province and Monday in the Sun. Why don't you let people know what's coming up there?
Well, I talked to Merrick Klassen of Abbotsford, basketball player. He's been all over Europe, and he's back here to play for the Bandits, hopefully, during the summer. But I was just asking him about the experiences he's had, because he's played for, I think, like 6 or 7 teams in 5 years all over Europe. And much like to St. Ricketts of the Whitecaps, who had a great story about bull's blood being rubbed on his forehead and going out and scoring 2 goals. Marek Klassen also has a great story about Turkey and some of the cultural surprises that he faced when he was over there. A really good story. It just goes to show that, you know, NBA is not the end all be all. You can have a very successful career as a professional athlete or professional basketball player in other places. So great talking with him. He's been traveling for 5 years now with his wife. They've been, I think, in Germany, in England, Turkey. He just got back from Ukraine. He's been all over. So he's had quite a ride.
That's great stuff, JJ. I have read it. It's a good story, and I would urge the readers to do the same once it's posted this weekend. Good stuff.
What else are we gonna do?
Yeah, exactly. Number 1 with a bullet, right? Anyway, we will get back to you. We'll probably do a couple of these videos next week whenever your schedule allows. I'm not just dressed super casual. I just want to point out that, you know, it is a Footy Friday, so I had to rep Allison today. That's what we're talking about. All right. Thanks, my friend. Stay safe, and we'll talk to you all in the future.
All right. Catch you on the next side.